On April 26, 2021, a young woman named Iniobong Umorin made a post on her Twitter account. She had just turned 26 years old a few days earlier, and like millions of young Nigerians, she was searching for a job. She wrote that she was really in need of a job, something to keep mind and soul together while contributing dutifully to an organization. Her location was Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. She described herself as creative, really good at critical thinking, and most importantly, a fast learner. Her CV was available on request. Iniobong pinned the post to her Twitter account, hoping it would get maximum visibility. She was a graduate of philosophy from the University of Uyo, and she was waiting to be mobilized for the compulsory National Youth Service Course program. Like many fresh graduates in Nigeria, she needed work to sustain herself during this waiting period. The post got many replies from people offering advice, encouragement, and some job leads. Among these replies was one from a user whose account would later be deactivated in the coming hours. This person shared what appeared to be a job opportunity with Iniobong and then followed up with more details privately in her inbox. An interview was set up immediately. Iniobong was open to checking out the opportunity. Little did she know that this response would lead her into a trap from which she would never return. The person who contacted Iniobong gave her an address where she should come for the interview. It was located at Airport Road in Uyo. Iniobong, being careful, informed her sister about the interview. She also told her best friend, Udwa Kumo, who had recently left Uyo for Lagos in search of better opportunities. As Iniobong looked at the address more carefully, she became concerned. The distance seemed quite long from where she lived. She also realized she did not have enough money to transport herself to the location. When she mentioned this to her friend Udwak, her friend immediately sent her 2,000 naira for transportation. The friend also gave Iniobong important advice. She should drop the address and contact details of the person she was going to meet with a family member, since she was no longer in Uyo to help if something went wrong. Iniobong followed this advice and gave all the details to her sister. On April 29, 2021, Iniobong left home for the job interview. She contacted her friend to inform her that she had left home and was on her way. As she traveled toward the location, she began to notice that the distance was very far, much farther than she had expected. She chatted her friend again, telling her that the distance was extremely far. Her friend, now worried, told her that if it was very far, she should turn back and come home. But Iniobong had already spent money on transportation and had come a long way. She told her friend that since she had already embarked on the journey, she should just check out the job. If the pay was not worth traveling such a distance, then she would reject the offer and come back. It made sense. So her friend agreed, and Iniobong continued the journey to what she thought was a job interview. Some minutes later, Iniobong's friend received a 1-second voice note from her on WhatsApp. When she played it, she could not hear anything clearly. The friend assumed Iniobong was trying to tell her something, so she called her immediately to find out what she wanted to say. The call was picked up, but what the friend heard next would haunt her forever. Iniobong was clearly in danger, fighting for her life. Then suddenly, the call ended. The friend immediately called back, but this time, the call was never answered. She kept calling again and again, but there was no response. Iniobong's phone had gone silent. That was when the friend knew something had gone terribly wrong. But how wrong things had gone would only become clear to her in the next 4 days. The friend reached out to someone in Uyo who connected her with Iniobong's sister. She told the sister about the interview and asked if she knew where Iniobong had gone. The sister confirmed that Iniobong had told her about the interview, the address at Airport Road, and the phone number of the person she was meeting. The friend then informed her about the distressing call and the subsequent failed attempts to reach Iniobong. The sister immediately tried to reach Iniobong herself, but she could not get through either. The family knew they needed to act fast. They went to the police station to report that Iniobong was missing, but the police told them to wait for 24 hours before they could officially take action. It was a frustrating response, but they had no choice. They waited through that terrible night, not knowing if Iniobong was alive or dead, hurt or safe. Early the next morning, they returned to the police station. This time, the police agreed to begin working on the case. The phone number of the person Iniobong had gone to meet was posted online. People began investigating. A search on Truecaller, an app that identifies phone numbers, showed that the number belonged to someone named Ezekiel Akpan. Further digging revealed that the number actually belonged to a person named Frank Akpan. The search for Iniobong went viral on social media. Nigerians used the hashtag #FindInioMorin to spread awareness and pressure authorities to find her. The heat from the case was intense. People were angry and scared because if this could happen to someone just looking for a job, it could certainly happen to anyone. A search through Iniobong's original job search post on Twitter showed that someone with a related name had commented on her post and engaged her in conversation. However, this post was later deleted and the account was deactivated. The Facebook account of this same person was also deactivated. Everything pointed to someone trying to hide their tracks. Frank Akpan was later established to be Uduak Frank Akpan. When the heat on the case became too much, he ran from Akwa Ibom State to the neighboring Cross River State, specifically to Calabar. He even made a post on Facebook claiming that Iniobong had called him, but his phone had gone off at that time. He claimed he had been trying to reach her and to also know her whereabouts. This was a complete lie. The alarm had been raised the very day Iniobong went for the interview, but Uduak had said nothing. It was only the next day, on Friday night, that he made this false claim. As the police investigation intensified, a divisional police officer and Uduak's cousin were able to convince him to return to Uyo and present himself to the police for questioning. Uduak eventually returned and went to the police station. As the case gained more attention, other victims began to reach out to Iniobong's friend. They shared their terrifying encounters with Uduak. These women alleged that Uduak had lured them to the same location using the same job scheme. He had drugged them, violated them, and taken compromising pictures of them. Then he threatened to publish the photos if they ever told anyone about what he had done. The victims also claimed that Uduak had used those photos to extort money from them. They had been living in fear and silence, but Iniobong's case gave them the courage to speak up. The police also arrested Uduak's father, Frank Akpan, as part of their investigation. After a thorough investigation and interrogation, Uduak Frank Akpan confessed to the horrific rape and murder of Iniobong Omorin. His confession was disturbing in its detail. Uduak admitted that he had lured Iniobong to his father's compound with a fake job offer. He claimed he used what he called reverse psychology on her by asking if she could work as a secretary in a farm where her drugs are kept. When she agreed, he revealed there was no such farm, that the whole job offer was a lie. He then told her that before she left, he wanted to sleep with her. According to his confession, she agreed on the condition that he use protection, but during the act, he removed the condom. When Iniobong realized this, she became furious. He claimed she grabbed a stabilizer, which would later be established to have been a pressing iron, and then hit him on the head. She bit his finger and tried to scream for help. Bleeding and angry, Uduak claimed he grabbed the same stabilizer and hit Iniobong with it. She fell to the ground and was seriously injured. He then stuffed a black cloth into her mouth to stop her from screaming and also tied her mouth. He proceeded to hit her in the abdomen with the stabilizer. Afraid she would escape or call for help, he used her jeans to strangle her to death. Uduak then dug a shallow grave in his father's compound and buried Iniobong's body there. He wrapped her in a blanket with her mouth still tied and the jeans around her neck. The entire horrific ordeal happened between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. on April 29, 2021. The police visited the scene and found Iniobong's shallow grave in the compound. They also found shoes, books, and other properties that suggested there might be other victims. The shoes were later claimed by Uduak's family to belong to his mother and to be used for farm work, but many people doubted this explanation. Iniobong's body was exhumed from the shallow grave and then taken to the hospital.
What happened was that she came for a supposed job interview, which I used reverse psychology on her. I asked her whether she can work in a farm. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept. I asked her whether she can work in a farm where hard drugs are kept as a secretary. And she said that she can, that she's ready to do the job. So when she came, I revealed to her that this farm doesn't exist. There's no farm like that. It was just a hoax. Let me put it that way. So then I told her that before she leaves, that I would like to have sex with her, and she agreed. but she gave a condition that I should use a condom, which I did. And in while I removed the condom, she became furious and she took the nearby stabilizer to hit me on my head, and then she beat my left ring finger and tried to reach for the door, screaming and tried to reach for the door. So while I was bleeding, in a bid to stop her, I used the stabilizer to hit her. And when I hit her, she fell and started bleeding. Then thereafter, she died. I'm not happy about it, but I believe that the commissioner of police is working with his men, and he has assured Nigerians, he has assured Akwa Ibomites and the entire world that justice will take its course. So you guys should just hold on and wait and see.
The brutality of her killing sparked nationwide outrage. There were also suspicions about possible links to organ harvesting or human trafficking. Though these were never proven, the case went to court. Uduak Frank Akpan was charged with rape and murder. His father, Frank Akpan, and his sister, Basi Anwan, were charged as accessories after the fact. During the trial, Uduak first pleaded guilty to murder, but not guilty to rape. However, because murder is a capital offense, the court entered a not guilty plea on his behalf so that the prosecution would have to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. Later, Uduak made a surprising turn. He claimed he had a fever when he pleaded guilty and that his investigating police officer had influenced him. He denied the confessional statements he made to both the police and the Department of State Services, claiming they were made under duress, but the prosecution presented strong evidence against him. A DSS call data analyst presented a video recording of Uduak's interview session that contradicted his claims. The court admitted the video as evidence. Cell phone records showed that Uduak and Iniobong were at the same location in Nongi at the time of the murder. Uduak's father even testified that his son had a mental disorder and was an outpatient at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, trying to save his son from conviction. On August 4, 2022, Justice Basin Kanang of the Akwa Ibom State High Court delivered his judgment. After more than 2 hours of reading the verdict, the judge found Uduak Frank Akpan guilty of rape and murder. The prosecution had proved their case beyond reasonable doubt. The judge sentenced Uduak to death by hanging for murder and life imprisonment for rape. The court, however, discharged and acquitted his father and sister. When the death sentence was announced, Uduak attempted to escape from the courtroom. He rushed toward the door, but security officials, including police and prison officers, quickly overpowered and grabbed him. His desperate attempt to flee only confirmed his guilt in the eyes of those present. Iniobong Umoren was laid to rest on May 14, 2021 in her hometown in Orokanam local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Despite heavy rain, relatives, friends and students from the University of Uyo, where she studied philosophy, and sympathizers attended her funeral. It was a day filled with tears and grief for a young life cut short so brutally. Iniobong was a 26-year-old orphan. She was a graduate, waiting to save her country through the NYSC program. She had dreams and ambition. She wanted to work, contribute to society, and build a life for herself. All she did was respond to what she thought was a job opportunity, and that simple act of hope cost her everything. Uduak Akpan is currently on death row, awaiting execution for his crimes. If this story touched you, please like this video and also subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below and stay safe.